Did y'all know that there's actually new makeup to try? It took some hunting, and also I've gotten some really good PR lately, but we do have a full face of new makeup to try today. This look ends up so freaking cute, so freaking sexy by the end. I'm really excited to show y'all. And we're following up on a bunch of stuff that's been in Tepid Takes a while back that I wasn't sure if I was gonna get it, and I got it. So I don't know if y'all know the story. Right before the Sephora sale, I was like, I'm gonna review that Givenchy foundation, and ended up reviewing the wrong Givenchy foundation because the packaging is so similar. So we're actually going to be using the Prisme Libre Glow Serum Foundation today. It is quite beautiful. I have this in 0.5N, that's going on my face. I was really impressed for the like advertising imagery of this. Like, it was very captivating to me when I saw this. Is the new ABH contour. Halftone, well, that's the shade, it's halftone, smooth blur contour. They didn't have this online, like this shade online, for so long, so I was actually at the Sephora in Soho last weekend, and I was like, I'm just gonna pick it up. And I was not going to check out. There were a lot of people. There was a long line, and all I had in my basket was that contour. And then I ran across a display of the new Haus Labs blushes, and I bought all of them. I think there were only 3. If there are 4, I'm gonna need to go on a manhunt, because I did buy one of everything that they just came out with. So we have Glassy Ginger, Glassy Clove, and Glassy Cayenne. I will swatch all of these for y'all. I'm gonna be putting a lot of things on my cheeks today. I mean, what the frick else is new, but still, we'll probably end up with like 2 of these on. Laura Mercier actually sent me all the bronzers, but I had already bought it, and we didn't get the chance to give this its like proper demonstration in a previous video because we had already layered so many other bronzers on. This is really gonna be one of the stars of the show today. I feel like Laura Mercier, especially, I don't know, this is kind of my thesis of today's look, is like, when we're talking about these throwback looks that everybody loves to romanticize, and like things that are really beautiful in texture and these soft tones and stuff that a lot of the newer brands are trying to emulate, what better way to get back to those basics than to go to the brands that did it right in the first place? Laura Mercier has been around for so long, and they've had such classic products for so long because what they do is something that's kind of consistent and timeless. Sometimes it's hard to talk about that in the context of like the beauty community online because a lot of people want something that's like exciting and feels new. I think that we've all come around to, especially in 2025, the idea of makeup just being good. We have the new bronzer here. Again, we're gonna be applying quite a lot of this today so that you can really see and get a feel for like what it looks like. I have all of them. I might go ahead and swatch all of them for you. They also sent me some caviar sticks and the liquid highlighter fluid. I don't know if you remember when, I don't know, we were roasting these when they first came out. We're like, really, Laura Mercier? Like, et tu brute? Like, in terms of the conversation around dupes and stealing IP, this feels a little on the nose, but they did send it to me, so we'll use it. I have the new powder from About Face. They have this Set and Smooth Loose powder. It's called the Curtain Call, and I got the Shoud. Got the shade Bow. I'm gonna be doing a Merit lip combo today. I hadn't gotten to use Tabby yet, so I have Tabby and Tabak here, and it's gonna be so sassy. The main thing we're gonna be talking about today is stuff that goes on my cheeks. So y'all know I love that. Let's go ahead and jump in. I like to say I have like a low contrast complexion. I think it's easy for me to play in low contrast, but the fact is I probably technically have something closer to medium. But today we're gonna be kind of pushing it a little bit, right? We're gonna go for a little bit more drama everywhere. But first, I'm starting with some SPF. I just washed my face. So like I have SPF on my neck and stuff, but I did this makeup look, experimented with it a couple of times, and then washed my face. And so we're putting some more SPF on. This is the In Beauty project. This is their Mineral Sun Glow in Fair Medium, and it just makes everything better. It just makes everything look better. Like, it's so blurring and gorgeous. So Givenchy Prism Libre Sun Glow Serum Foundation. I want to say that this differs from the skin caring foundation mainly in the sense that I think it has a little bit more coverage, and it has more of like a mineral mica kind of glow when you put it on the skin. It reminds me a little bit of the Ciel in that sense. Like, as you put it on, I feel like it does have a little tiny bit of like reflection. Also, I guess the shade range is different because I wear N95 in the concealer and the foundation, but this one is it's a different thing. 0.5N. But yeah, woof, look at that coverage. It is pretty darn good coverage. It's, I would say, like, yeah, it's not as dewy either. The original one is a little bit dewier. This is just quite lovely. It's like, instead of being dewy, it's glowy. It also, like, I feel like that other one, as you're putting it on, you feel it grip down. Like, it feels really, really like committed and long wearing. Not that this one doesn't, but it doesn't have that thing where as you're putting it on, it dries so fast that you can't spread it out. You're more building. Like this, you can kind of spread it out really evenly. You feel like you have a lot more play. Whereas the other one was so beautiful, the original Prism Libre, it's so beautiful, but it starts to build on itself, you know, and you start to get more coverage the more you apply, instead of kind of, I don't know, just having the time to work with it. So look how even that freaking canvas is. And it's really thin. That's what I like about all of their foundations that I've tried, is that they're really, really thin. So like, you know, spots on you that'll typically crease and stuff, you don't end up with like a high profile product just gathering in there. Yeah, that's an incredibly lovely place to start. I think for concealer today, I'm gonna use the Tarte. I've been really enjoying this in 20B, the new stick, mainly because it's just, I mean, it's a fantastic formula, but it really is such an insanely close skin tone match for me that I don't feel like it's working against me in terms of contrast. Like, I don't feel like, oh no, and now I've over brightened my under eye and now I need to, you know, contour to the gods. This contour that we're about to use is awesome. I'm actually really impressed by it because it's kind of sheer. You know, I love the Dior one because it is so concentrated and I really feel like they'll bury it with me kind of thing. But by the same token, there are plenty of people, especially people who fear contour, which is a very legitimate fear. Contour can be very, very high stakes and scary, especially if it's like too cool of a tone. When you have something that has like a slower build or like a little bit more of like a gel weight finish, it can make all the difference in the world in terms of like intimidation factor and how easy it is to use. And I feel like this one just goes in the other direction from the Dior in the best way possible. You know, it's like, I don't really have a preference. I like both of them for how they work. But I will swatch it next to a couple of things so that you can see color-wise, because of course we just did the bronzer video and then I get a new contour. That's just how it goes. So good. 20B, that shade. It's just such a desaturated. Bye. I need you back. No, you come back here. I still need you. It's desaturated and lovely is what I was saying. So here we have this ABH, and you know, I said that it was mainly the imagery that I was attracted to, but then I saw the packaging, and in person it's also pretty breathtaking. Like, this has, oh, what would you call that? It has a texture on it. The whole thing has just been done really beautifully. I love the colors, and it's a little lightweight. I think that there is a weight in it, but it's still a little like lighter than I expected it to be. But I got this shade Halftone. I swatched the first two shades to see because I was like, oh, maybe that's too cool toned. And there's such an enormous leap in depth between the first shade and the second shade that I was like, well, my decision is made for me. It doesn't matter if the undertone is better on the second one. It's way too dark. Turns out this is really, really lovely. I'm gonna spread it out a little bit though, because I feel like the color really matters spread out. As it builds, it starts to get a little bit more gray. And yeah, it's spread out, it's more even looking, especially because folks in my last video were talking, kind of lamenting, honestly, the fact that the Too Faced contour is a incredible color, right? And it looked really enticing when I applied it. And then people were like, but it smells like a Bonnie Bell chocolate lip smacker. And like, that's pretty gross. This is a pretty remarkably similar kind of formula, delivery system, whole thing. The ABH is a little bit less dewy and a little bit stiffer. This is almost slick when you touch it, you're like, woo! And you can tell that the colors are a little bit different. The ABH is a little bit cooler and this one's a little bit peacher, you know? But it doesn't have a smell. The ABH doesn't smell like anything. And then I think that it's worth swatching against the Dior real quick, just for, you know, general reference, because that one is my go-to. And we did talk quite a bit in that video about how there is kind of a personality difference between wanting to be a natural form of bronze that, you know, just you can throw it on and you don't feel like you have to like worry about your neck matching your face at the end or whatever. And then there's like transformative bronze, where you still want to like nail the undertone because you want it to look like you, but you'd want to look tanner than maybe nature might have intended. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, you know? So that is the Dior. That's my like, you know what I mean? That's my sexy tan contour. And you can see it's just, the undertone is fantastic, but the color is just deeper, you know, but it's actually a remarkably similar undertone to the ABH that we're using today. So that's probably, again, another reason that I really like it. They're very, very similar in color, but just very different in formula. And again, it's a little bit lighter in color, in chroma. And just, I don't know, I'm kind of like going on vibes here, but I had a feeling, okay, yeah, that's actually a very valuable comparison, because you might look at those and be like, well, what about Mojave from Persona? And Mojave from Persona is warmer. So Not to say that any of these is only a bronzer or only a contour, but you could use the ABH side by side with Mojave because it's all about relativity, right? In terms of temperature, you're getting the appearance of shadow, the appearance of depth because something is cooler relative to what it's next to. Like that's warm enough. Mojave is from Persona to make the difference. News you can use always. Okay, I could put this directly on. In fact, I'm gonna put it directly on up here and we'll blend it and then I'll do my cheeks differently, but I just want to show y'all like this is a really fantastic formula. I don't usually like putting stuff straight on because it's like you tend to have to like agitate the skin too much to get something to blend, but the reason I'm doing it like this is because it actually goes into the hairline better if I do that. And look at that. I mean, it basically disappears. Like it could not be more opposite end of the spectrum in terms of intensity of pigment to the Dior, which I also, again, love. Like it's my favorite. So that just disappeared. I don't feel like I wiped it away. I just kind of blended it in and it went into my hairline. So I'm going in now with a sponge. I don't feel like we have to be afraid because like literally when you swatch this, it has this balm consistency. It's gorgeous. It's so pretty. I talked about on my Instagram stories recently, I was like, hey, it was when I was in Sephora. I said, I'm in Sephora right now and there's just not a lot of new stuff, y'all. Like everybody's just kind of like sitting on their hands right now. And I was like, well, let's revisit some brands. Like this is a unique opportunity to revisit some stuff. And I asked, I was like, what do y'all want to do? What do y'all want to see? And I was actually surprised how many people were like, let's go back to like the 2016 brands, you know, like when we were talking about like the height of beauty YouTube, we're talking about, you know, Tarte and Too Faced and ABH and probably Laura Mercier and Clinique. Good grief, I don't know. There are a lot of brands though that like were just booming at the time. ABH is definitely one of them. Like, you know, she was putting out tons of eyeshadow palettes and stuff. By the way, the ADHD is ADHDing, y'all. No apologies, just a fair warning. My friend Rebecca made me aware of this collab that I did not know about. I am not the makeup junkie that a lot of people on this platform are. I am very much like a texture and color and performance and wanting you to get the best out of your money junkie, more so than I am a personal makeup hobbyist. I just am like passionate about knowing everything about this one thing, like I'm hyper fixated. Either way, so she was like, hey, I have this eyeshadow palette that was Mario Dedivanovic collabing with ABH, like God knows how many years ago, and Rebecca still had the palette and she gave it to me so that I can swatch it against my collection and try and dupe some stuff and just experience it because it's like a very like subtle, and I would say it's for high contrast people, palette. I had never even heard about it. I never even knew that Mario had collabed with Anastasia back in the day. That's just like a light sprinkling of contour. It's so beautiful, isn't it? I just think that they really did a great job here. I love the packaging. I love the color choice. I love the formula. I love how, like, for anyone who is maybe, again, a little trepidatious wading into the waters of contouring their face, you choose something really close to your skin tone from this line, you're probably gonna have an easy time. An easier time than you would with like a powder, for example. Like a powder contour can be kind of make or break. I feel like this is super freaking forgiving. And I also don't feel like I look like a different person. Not yet anyway. I think that the Laura Mercier bronzer might take us to the next level, you know? But that's what we're going for. Yeah, let's go in with that Laura Mercier bronzer. So we swatched this in my last video. We swatched it separately. And separately, you end up with something that is kind of a, you know, neutral to green bronzer and then a pink, woo, you know, pinky copper, because it's got a little shift on it, sort of blushy highlighter situation. And together, when you swirl them together, it makes the most beautiful color. And I didn't actually do that, and I should have done that because look at that. That is them together. And if you're kind of on the go, if you're a girl on the go, this makes a fantastic little combo for eyeshadow too. You know, if you're just slamming something on, it's not obviously a complete look, but it'll definitely fill in the gaps. So let's do this. Boop, 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 doop. It's gonna get real fast because this is definitely, for it being as light in color as it is quite pigmented. Oh. But no complaints. It's not like, oh wow, that's gonna stamp. It's super, super finely milled. And you can see, it's like, I'm putting it in a blush area because it's giving blushy bronzer. It's awesome. And are we getting a ton of shimmer? No. You know, I don't think so. I'm tapping it off just on the back of my hand, not to get the product off, but to just make sure the colors are mixed together really well and that it's like on the brush evenly. But I mean, this is, the first couple times that I used it like this, I was like, oh, this is brainless. Like, this is awesome. Like, I can do this without thinking at all. And it really pulls something beautiful from like my natural lip color and like any of the natural pink that's already in my skin without being pink face, because it's got that little shift of copper to it. Big fan. And I mean, pink and green being opposites on the color wheel, they're gonna kind of cancel each other out and create something really beautiful and beige. So that's what we're ending up with. I know that like no one's listening to what I'm saying right now because you're all just like breathtaking right now. You're looking at it, you're like, how did you just transform your face into that? Because that looks incredible. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Like, it's very, very healthy and gorgeous looking, isn't it? Sold to me. I bought 2 of them. Well, I bought 1 and they sent me 2 in my Sephora order, and so I gave 1 to Rebecca, but now I have all of them. So actually, let's go ahead and swatch all of them real quick. This is a shade range. There's 5 shades in this. This is a shade range. I know that, you know, some brands have 12, but like, you know, for what this is, I think that that's pretty good. Especially I think when I saw it in my tepid takes, I was excited about the undertone of like the deep ones because it's like kind of like burgundy. Yeah. That's the deepest one, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to just swirl them with my finger and then swatch them because that's how it's gonna look on your skin anyway. You're probably not applying them separately. Oh my God, that's flipping gorgeous. Okay, so this is 50 Summertime. So freaking pretty. I wanna wear it as an eyeshadow. Then we have, oh my God, that's gorgeous, 40 Riviera. I'm not gonna torture y'all through my French pronunciations unnecessarily. Absolutely beautiful. Similar undertone, a little more golden, but like the very small step in depth inspires confidence. Whoa! I thought I got the lightest one. There's a lighter one. I didn't know that. Ooh, fun. I thought that, well, I mean, I knew I had Mercier the whole time, but there is a St. Croix. And that's even lighter. I'm probably gonna actually get use out of that. That's awesome. Okay, cool. So here we have 3, which is Can. Wow, Can looks really similar to Mercier. Someone did comment that. They were like, are you sure you don't have Can? And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure I read the package right, but they do look really similar. Holy crap. All right, well, there. Oh my God, that's gorgeous. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, that's Can. And then we have my friend here, Mercier. They are quite different. Mercier is, you know, peach and, you know, all that. And I do think that that's a perfectly good color for me, but sorry for not being an expert on this release when it came out or even when I bought it, apparently. Maybe they don't have the lightest shade on Sephora for some reason. I might just be making that up. I'm trying to pass the buck. Ooh. Ooh, fair-skinned people rejoice. Let's take a look. Oh my God. Whoa, that's a fair-skinned bronzer right there, y'all. Dang, that's awesome. Get my face out of there. That is St. Croix. Oh my God. It's so peach and fair. I think we'll put a little of that on too. Why not? Okay, so yeah, at the risk, which we already announced that this was the risk, of becoming completely oversaturated on my cheeks, we're gonna go in with the fairest shade here. I'm so glad they sent me all of them. Beep boop boop beep, beep, boop 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 boop. Look at that shade range. That's a freaking good shade range. That's pretty. I mean, are we obscuring things a little bit? Absolutely. Okay, yeah, it's giving blushy on me, you know? It's pulling that like fair peach out. Oh my God. Oh my God. Now, you know, if you don't want any shimmer or any kind of luminosity or radiance or whatever in your bronzer product, then don't do it, you know? But like, you can see that it's only a blurring kind of reflection. I would not call that like a highlighter of any kind. I have just absolutely like classic khaki. Like this feels like a vintage khaki, which I guess is kind of appropriate for this video. Absolutely pounded it onto my cheeks. So we're ending up with a little bit of sheen, but I am not mad. That is so flipping pretty. I want to use a little bit of those just on my eyes real quick. I'm just gonna like slam it on. Basically just like bring my eye look up to where we are bronzer and contour wise real quick. And I'm gonna use Mercier and St. Croix. We don't even have blush on yet. I feel like $1,000,000. I love that. Wow, those are some really well-informed colors. Like they're so pretty and they're so different and nuanced and like fine-tuned. I'm watching myself on my monitor because those colors give me a thrill. All right, first I'm gonna make sure that Haus Labs actually only released 3 of these, because if not, I'm gonna feel like a ding dong for not going and digging the other one up. Haus Labs. No, there are 4. Which one am I missing? Cinnamon. Hold please, I did buy it. Okay, I found it. Okay, let's swatch these real quick. We've got Glassy Ginger, just a rosy color. We have Glassy Cayenne, still rosy, you know, just deeper. I find these to be less glassy than they purport themselves to be. I don't get a lot of glass from them, but that's fine. We have Glassy Clove, browner, but still quite rosy. Honestly, oh my God, wait a second. Why do these feel like my Finding Ferdinand collab? They feel like the same color for different skin tones. So you know what I mean? All right, I'm gonna put this one up here. And there's Glassy Cinnamon, which is just, it's different. You know, it's much more like orangey. But yeah, wow, that really looks like après ski. I'm not gonna do that to y'all. I'm not gonna do that to y'all, but it does look like après ski to me. And this is giving summer abroad. But for those reasons, I love this. Like, you can't get my collab anymore. I don't want to talk about it. But I think for the purposes of today's event, I love this. And then I want to top with, oh my God. Honestly, I kind of want to just stick with these browns. We'll see. We'll see what my instincts tell me, but I do want to start with Glassy Cinnamon because I hadn't tried that one yet. Ew. I actually was a little bit, especially based on the outside packaging, just a little disappointed at how many of them were pink, you know? There's nothing wrong with pink. I just have tons of pink blushes, so I wanted it to be something special. So here we have Glassy Cinnamon. Give it a whirl. Ooh. Ooh, it's really just kind of bronzer colored. And am I mad? No, it's just been a lot of bronzers lately, you know? God, look at that. It's glassy enough. It's glassy enough that it gives the skin texture back. Oh my God. Do y'all see my freaking skin right now? I think that Givenchy foundation is also pretty special. Wow. Wow. I know. I mean, there's no tricking somebody into thinking that you woke up like this once you've got this much stuff on your cheeks, and maybe we're all blush blind, but like, I don't care. I'm here for it. I'm here for blush blindness. God, that's freaking pretty, and I barely used any of it. Ooh. Oh, a little more. Good God. Sunburn who? What? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, I mean, you know, I rarely do a first impression, but that color is a first impression I've been using. I have a few of these in different colors already. This is just a new color expansion, so. You gotta be kidding me. I think that as we like get, you know, my lips and everything in the picture, we're going to have a little bit more pink just to talk about in general. So we'll probably put another one on. I know, completely ridiculous. And I don't know, I think I'm gonna skip the liquid highlight just because it's like, I've tried it. It was fine. It's, again, I don't have a ton of respect for brands just like so blatantly ripping off IP like that. Not that I'm sitting here being some kind of like Charlotte Tilbury stan, but it does cost money to make something famous, and all these brands being like, well, I'm gonna make one too. It's just kind of like, you know, did you really need to? No, it wasn't that great of a product to begin with. So anyway, that's ridiculous. That's so pretty. Let's do this powder from About Face here, because I can tell that my under eyes they're trying to do it in a couple little spots. So smooth that out. I have found this to be quite lovely. It's not over drying or Natalie's here. Wow. Yeah, it's not over mattifying and it's not over drying. It doesn't feel like an HD powder. And it's so pretty. Look at that. It kind of reminds me of the Ciel a little bit in a good way, you know? Like, it just has that nice, hard to put your finger on, like, that works really nicely kind of vibe to it. It's not something that I necessarily would recommend for someone who needs to like strap their makeup down for life kind of thing. But About Face just knows what they're doing. They make makeup that's easy to use. They make makeup that is well priced, that has well-informed shades. And I mean, like, that's just, I can't complain. It's so easy. My face looks freaking flawless. That is not something that I typically am even going for. It's sort of the like completely airbrushed thing because it's like that usually involves a lot of coverage, but not today. In order for this look to come together the way that I want it to, we need to smash a couple of other classics onto my face real quick. And mainly I'm talking about Moondust eyeshadows from Urban Decay. I just want to put Space Cowboy and Diamond Dog all over my eyeballs real quick. Now, Laura Mercier did send some of their caviar sticks in some colors, one of which I know that I already had, which is Dune. Dune is just pink as hell. It's so surprising. You would think that Dune would be more beige, sand colored kind of thing, and it is so pink. And then they sent Cafe Noir, which, I mean, yeah, looks like black coffee, except even grayer somehow. They're just so disparate from each other in color. It's interesting that those are the two that they chose to send, but I do want a little bit of drama out here. And with a color like this, you're not really getting local color from it in terms of like someone pointing to it and going, oh, that's a espresso brown color or whatever. It's like, no, you're getting an effect from it. So the eye just detects a shadow, and there's something very helpful about something like that in your routine. It just enhances a shadow. No one's pointing to that and going, oh, that's espresso noir, or whatever the hell it was. Cafe noir. Isn't that cool? Pretty cool. And then, yeah, Dune does go pretty pink, but at the same time, I kind of want to go in that direction just because I feel like we are so stinking bronze that I want to like almost push it a little too far so we can pull it back. You know, let's get weird. Yeah, we have not had many new releases in the eye category lately. I'm sure there's some intuitive reason for that, but I'm okay sticking with the classics for now. I just get excited about combining colors and textures, you know? It doesn't always have to be something new. Especially when things like these eyeshadow sticks and also, like I said, the Urban Decay Moondust shadows exist, because like, it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know? So we've got Space Cowboy, little Space Cowboy moment here. Everybody loves Space Cowboy. Somebody's gonna be in my comments, I don't like Space Cowboy. A fun generalization, it's a very popular product because it has that beautiful wet look shift on it. It is subtle and buildable and gorgeous. Put it underneath my eyes too. It's nice too because like when you're, I don't know, it's something this close to my skin tone, I can just kind of apply it messily. I can't get away with much that's messy because everything tends to go contrasty on me, but like I can play it messy with a color like that. And then we have Diamond Dog. Diamond Dog is like if someone took lithium and just kind of toned it down a little bit because it shifts pewter instead of red. Lithium is a little bit green shift red, and this has that just like much more tame like brownness to it. And when you layer it ever so sheerly on top of Space Cowboy, you get the multi-dimensional shift on those wet look glitters, and it's just good. It's just really good. These are such versatile formulas. Who knows why you get your needle stuck back on something old, you know what I mean? I just look at it and I'm like, I get endorphins from that, and for that reason I'm going to use it. I'm gonna do my eyeliner. We're gonna use, I think I'm gonna use the Laura Mercier Caviar Tightline eyeliner, which is such an underappreciated product. I have it in Espresso Brown. Use my Thread mascara, my Merit brow stuff, I think. And then we will come back and we're going to put on some really pretty Merit lip combo situation here. Okay, even a little inner corner moment. That was Opulent from Ilia. Man, that was another brand people want me to revisit is Ilia. Happy to do it. Happy to do it, y'all. I know that this looks very typical of me, but like, honestly, still, it's so cute. It's such a good look. Anyway, let's finish out with these lips. I have not gotten as much use out of these Merit lip colors as I thought that I was going to, the little shimmery guys, because they have more pigment in them than I expected. So when we get this on, I'm gonna try and be kind of ginger about it, but we might end up putting on some more blush just to kind of like bring them to the same vibe. But I think that this goes really well with Tabak. Tabak is like very kind of translucent, almost like green brown. And then Tabby has this like, again, like similar translucence to it, but like in a purpley way. They go together really beautifully, y'all. As much as we have all I don't know, not necessarily complained, but definitely made a big point of discerning that like these Merit lip liners are very different from a typical lip liner because they're really sheer, they're kind of shiny, and they're not particularly like long wearing or committed or whatever. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, man. They're just really good. So this is a little bit plummy. You're gonna see that like that's what's gonna sort of make me want to put something plummy on my cheeks, but it's also freaking irresistible. Look at that. Ugh. Gorgeous. It's so pretty. I love that lip color so much, but yeah, it does make me want to kind of just put like the littlest bit of our deepest color here. This is Glassy Clove. I think that that's exactly what needs to happen. So, boop, boop, boop. And it's just, it'll amaze you how much like that little tiny detail will make all the difference in the world in bringing a look together. Just right in the kind of central parts where the color would be concentrated to, and I just turned my sponge a little bit so that I could blend it, just to have those two colors kind of mirror one another, makes everything feel unified. And it does need a little bit, because that's very dark, it needs a little bit of help bridging the contrast gaps here. And I think that we just need to pull out my Victoria Beckham. So this is my go-to trick, right? I have my Victoria Beckham matte bronzing brick in 1, and I use the lightest shade here. This is an Hourglass brush, and I just blend the edges of everything with it. I mean, this is a full beat, like make no mistake, but it helps to just make it so that like, especially when we're working with a little more contrast, like I said, we're kind of pushing the limits of my natural contrast of my complexion in this one. It helps the eye not go straight towards the seams, as it were. I do feel like I have a little moment here. There we go. There we go. That's the Lisa Eldridge in God knows 4, because I already have all my makeup on, you know, so my skin's a little darker for it. And then I just want to do a little bit of clear brow gel because, you know, that's who I am. All right, we got Coolfy here. This is a Free the Brow. I haven't tried the mascara yet because they don't have a brown one, y'all. Or at least to my knowledge, do they have a brown one? I haven't looked that hard, to be honest. I think that they just came out with a black, and I'm like, I'm not gonna get a use out of a black mascara, so that is why I have not bought it. Okay, yeah, this stuff is flipping incredible. I love this brow gel. Hence, I rebought it, you know? That's a lot of color on my cheeks, but that's what I promised you. So, do a little bit of this. Not that it needs it, but, you know, whatever. To whomever can identify why this smells like a goat farm, I'll pin your comment, because, like, we can't figure it out. It doesn't have like lactobacillus in it. It does not have like lanolin in it to my knowledge that I can tell from looking at the ingredients. I think we look cute. I think we look maybe a little bit, you know, overbeat for the look, but for like, you know, the rest of my look, but I don't care. I don't care, I feel cute. It is time to do final thoughts on what it is that we are working with today. So we have more coverage, but more glow and less of a weird kind of like instant build moment from this, the Glow Serum Foundation from Givenchy. I like it a lot. It's flawless though. You know, not always are we looking for something that is going to give you that foundation look where it's like, yes, that's going to give me something a little bit more airbrushed. That doesn't mean at all that it is matte. It's not. I think it's a really fantastic combination of textures actually, and it's really lightweight. Like would absolutely wear it again, but it does give me like more of a beat. It makes me feel like I need to put a little more makeup on just to kind of like bring the life back to my face, if that makes sense. But that's also because I have a really low threshold for coverage. I don't want a lot of coverage. And so I like working with something that gives me a lot of room to wiggle there, and this does go a little more towards coverage. In my arbitrary scale of coverage, it's like a solid 5.5 out of 10. School bus is home. And you're never gonna catch me wearing anything like above like a 7, you know? It's pretty high for me. Did not expect to love this, but I love this. I think that the component initially really excited me just because I think they've done something really, I love cool and warm together like that. It's just really, it's compelling. And there's something also really, it's just fascinating the way that they've chosen to do that, and the product inside the packaging just looks really nice. I know that not everybody is like this, but I am more likely to reach for something and get use out of it if I have more than one of something, if it is beautiful. And this is beautiful. The whole thing feels very elegant. It feels very now, but it also feels very timeless. I think that the formula is gorgeous because it goes on so smoothly and sheerly that if you are someone who is ready to wade into the waters of contour, true contour, although that could be a bronzer for somebody. I don't want to make any hard and fast rules, but still, I think that it is a pretty functional contour for neutral undertones. If you're ready to wade into that territory, but you're still a little new to the game, this is really lovely. It's just not going to build super fast, and it's very, very, very forgiving, even once you get it on the skin. I knew that this was going to be what we wanted to focus on today because I haven't given it the amount of time it deserves in previous videos, but I didn't expect the Laura Mercier bronzers to be the star like they were today. I am so impressed with this shade range. And I know, like I said, it's only 5 shades. For a brand like Laura Mercier, they could have afforded to make 20, you know, but for what they are, they're really cool colors. Like, I just feel like the whole range, like it goes from very fair, fairer than we usually get in a bronzer range, to very deep, and also a good bit of like nuance to the colors. And I like that it's not just a pan of bronzer, actually. Like, I kind of thought they'd overcomplicated it in the beginning. For making it 2 pans, you know, one of each kind of product, and you mix it together, some people might see that as a gimmick or whatever. I don't particularly find the 2 shades to be extremely useful individually, but at the same time, I think if it was already a pan all mixed together, it would be less compelling looking to interact with. And there's just, I mean, there was some thought put into that. It's just a really, really lovely product. And I do think that most people will find a bronzer in this range that will work for them, which is pretty exciting. The new colors of the Haus Labs are lovely. I am far more excited about Glassy Clove and Glassy Cinnamon than I am about like Cayenne and Ginger. The rosier ones are, I don't want to say they're throwaways because it's a very pretty formula and it's not like I'm never going to use it. It's just kind of like we all probably have a blush that color. These are far less common because I think that rust is something that's hard to sort of nail down because it can tend to go orange on a lot of people, but if you find the right rusty color on an olive complexion, it just glows. It's incredible. And then this right here, this brown, it's, you know, it's kind of like Toasted Teddy. I feel like I should swatch it against Toasted Teddy here. As new things come across my plate, I always feel the urge to swatch them against what's relevant, and let us see exactly how close Toasted Teddy comes to Glassy Clove. That's Glassy Clove, that's Toasted Teddy. So I would argue, yes, Toasted Teddy's warmer, but like, I would argue you don't need both. But boy, do I love a brown blush. Ooh, I love a brown blush. I don't mind the high stakes of trying to apply it gingerly, as it were, for the reward of the color that it gives. It's just so pretty. The About Face powder, I think, is a good buy. I think that it goes right in line with, if you are an About Face person and you have come to expect to be pleased by the things that they put out, then you're going to be pleased by this. I feel like it is right in line with everything else that they put out, in the sense that you just use it and you're like, yep, that's a very good version of that kind of product. That's what they do. They make an amazing liquid eyeshadow. They make pretty darn good liquid lip products and things like that. Their blushes are pretty darn good. Their foundation is gorgeous and has an enormous, very well-informed shade range. Like, About Face has yet to not impress me. And this is, again, this is another product where you're just kind of like, yeah, that's very good. And I like it because it is accomplishing something very similar to like the Kosas. It doesn't have quite as much kind of coverage, brightening coverage as the Kosas, but Kosas, when they put out their loose powder, they inexplicably put it out in like, you know, pink. So this is much more, you know, skin tone oriented, obviously, and it is not an over mattifying kind of powder product. It's something that I could use in a photo shoot on set or something like that, and it just kind of like disappears into the skin and it maintains the appearance of the makeup, but it does just ever so slightly soften the texture on the skin without mattifying, and it really looks perfecting. Like, it's not Hourglass Veil, you know, but it's also not like the Laura Mercier one that completely disappears. I think at this point it's very safe to say that this recent release from Mercier of their lip colors and the lip liners is a freaking home run. I mean, I know I'm the last one to review it, and I've kind of been using them as I go in every video for a while since they came out, kind of thing. But like, I can't complain. I think that they do exactly what they say that they're going to do, so it's important to set expectations correctly. They're both sheer products, but like, the colors are so well informed, and you get me when they're unique colors. I feel like that's kind of the theme of today's video, especially as, ooh, Ooh, it's kind of like tying in with what I said in the beginning, where it's like, okay, if we're going to be going for these nuanced colors that just look good on skin, you know, we're not trying to have our minds blown, we just want something that's really subtle and like dialed in, then we need to go back a lot of times to the brands who did it right in the first place. But I have something entirely different to add, and that is how exciting it is actually that we're getting shade expansions instead of new products from a lot of these brands because of tariffs, because of, I don't know, a lot of things probably. Like, I think that was always in the works. We're getting so many shade extensions, and what we're getting is nuance, and I love nuance of color. I feel like it is a love letter to my heart when we don't have just the same 5 blush colors coming out from a brand and then they move on to the next formula. You know, we're getting these awesome, rich spice colors, you know, of different blushes and stuff. We're getting bronzers that have all of these different dimensions to them, and these freaking lip colors from Merit. Like, I feel like brands are having to sit on their hands a little bit in terms of innovation, and instead just drilling down and fleshing out, as it were, these shade ranges of some of their best formulas. And like, I am so freaking here for it. Like, I'm so excited to keep talking about color and keep swatching things with y'all. So I hope y'all find that exciting. I hope you found this helpful. If you like this video, please do give the video a thumbs up. If you're new here or you just have yet to subscribe, please subscribe while you're here. We would love to have you. It's a fun place to be. We just love to play with makeup and talk about it. And I have this massive encyclopedic collection that is just fun for all of us to use as our gigantic carnivorous resource. I will put a video up here that I think y'all will enjoy if you liked this one. Thank you so much for being here today while I put on this honestly beautiful face of makeup. I love y'all so much. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one.